Ben Nickel, better known as MrBitter, cast for one of the premier StarCraft 2 leagues currently in the scene right now, the North American Star League. Along with Rotterdam, he has cast numerous high-profile StarCraft 2 events, such as IEMs, MLGs, and pretty much many other things you could think of. But let's get this going. How are you doing today, Ben?
I am doing great. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
No problem. So we're going to take on a couple of topics, mostly the NASL and then also just casting in general. So the first question I'm going to ask is, how do you feel about the current format of NASL? It's pretty different from a lot of other leagues we see with the five divisions of a ton of players going head-to-head every week. And with quasi-daily content, like I guess, except for like a couple days a week, you guys are producing content. So how do you feel about that format in general? And do you think that other leagues could benefit from a similar sort of idea with the daily content?
I don't know how well what we do could really be applied to the other leagues. Well, for starters, I think what NASL does is awesome. It's a real league, right? There's nothing else like it in the world. The possible exception could be GSL, but this is the only tournament that you can watch or participate in on the planet where you enter a group, everybody plays against everybody else across the course of 9 weeks or 8 weeks or however long it is, and based on those results, you go on to a final and you win a lot of money, yada yada yada. It's just to me, this league format is like I don't know. It just feels like real sports. It feels like a real season where you sit down and you follow the storylines and you watch it all and you take part in it all, and at the end of the day, it all just kind of meshes together to make this awesome thing. Because of the length of our season and because there's so many people participating and so much content to absorb, we are allowed to do all the extra segments that we do and create all this extra filler, and it just kind of works, right? The big comparisons that we make to the IPLs and the MLGs and the IEMs, these are tournaments that happen, entire tournaments that happen over the course of a couple of days. And when you put yourself in these situations where you've got how many games get played over an MLG weekend, it's a massive number, 1,000 games, an arbitrary number. When you have this many games happening over such a short amount of time, you fill all of that time with gameplay, and that's just what you do. But with the NASL, we've got all this extra time, so we actually are able to go back and talk to players, or I don't know, make segments spotlighting something in the community, or reach out to photographers. All these things that we do, we're able to get away with it because of our unique format, and I love it. I think it works really well, and I really enjoy it.
Awesome. So with the there's absolutely like a ton of players in the NASL. But as far as players who maybe did not qualify or anything, are there any that you wish had maybe made it into the league so you could cast them like players you've enjoyed casting in other events?
Sure there are. Well, it's pretty well known that I'm a big Nurtio fan, and I would love it if Nurtio was in our league. And it's difficult to get into the North American Star League. The qualifiers are really hard, and we've always looked at it and said, okay, well, how can we get the players that we want in the league and still make it fair? And that's actually why this season, in the fourth season, we introduced these four, quote, invites that we've sent out. The way that works is we've developed a point system that awards players for performing well in major events. So, in essence, winning other tournaments can qualify you for the North American Star League. So, yes, there's players out there that I'm not able to cast because they're not in the league, but as long as they continue playing well, they will be invited to future seasons, results permitting.
Actually, do you know off the top of your head who were those invite players this season that made it based on that qualification?
Yeah, this season it was Dong Regu, MMA, Violet, and oh no, who's the last one?
Didn't mean to put you too much on the spot here, but
shoot. Now I have to look it up because I haven't.
I'm sorry.
No, 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 it's fine. I'm sorry that I don't have it on the tip of my tongue. I know that Naniwa was invited based off of the same ranking system, but he wasn't. He was brought in as a replacement to another player that dropped out of the league.
Hmm.
So I just have to pull up my little list. Where is my little list? Uh, wow, where's my little list? Images, maps, play, YouTube news, Gmail Drive. Where's documents? Let's do it this way. Anyway, we invited 4 players. I'll let you ask your next question while I continue
Okay.
to figure out what's going on.
Actually, so recently it was announced that Puzzle would be withdrawing, and he's obviously a really great player. Is it how bad is it to see him kind of go out the way he has after only playing one game, I think, in the season?
It sucks. I mean, Puzzle leaving the league is a major bummer, no question.
Yeah.
But it's not really something we can do anything about. I mean,
Yeah, of
illness
course.
is a big deal. It's really sad, but it's necessary that he leaves so that he can take that time. He can get
Yeah.
better. He can feel better. Tasia was the last invite, by the way.
Okay.
How
That
could I
makes sense,
forget
certainly.
Tasia?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's awful. It's a bummer. I really hope he recovers and we see him back in tournament shape soon.
Hmm.
But I understand it, and it's just it's part of life. These things happen.
Yeah, that definitely can't be good. Okay, so out of the players that are currently in the NASL, so far it's obviously pretty early in the season. But are there any that have surprised you with how they've played in the North American Star League, whether it be a good or a bad surprise per se? But obviously the good's better to talk about for the players, obviously. But do you have any in
Um,
mind?
Let me think. Surprises. Uh, I don't want to say that I'm surprised at the play I've seen out of MMA because that sounds terrible, but I am surprised that he can be kind of off the radar for so long and then come back and still look so dominant.
Hmm.
Um, so that's a small surprise. Like his gameplay just looks top notch. I've also been really pleased and surprised at the play from Vibe of Team Root,
Yeah.
who's he's still unbeaten in the league. He's 2-0 right now, and he's won WCS America. He was second place in the North American Continental Finals. He's obviously a very good player, but when you put him in this setting where you're competing
Hmm.
against the MCs and the MMAs and the Dongrygus of the world, you don't expect him to continue to play to have the same results. Now it's early in the season still, and he might end up finishing the year 6-2. I hope that's not the case. I would love to see him
Same
continue to
here.
win, but it's just really nice seeing him doing well.
Indeed. Can I agree with that more? I mean, watching those WCS runs from him was just absolutely absurd. And without Scarlet in the way, I mean, very well could have taken that. Absolutely.
I mean, the
Um,
fact that he would do it twice, like winning WCS
yeah.
America, is impressive. It's like, wow, he beat all those good American players. But then to come back and win the Continental Final again just a couple of weeks later, that's pretty awesome.
And this next question is kind of along the same vein, but it could be a different answer. But are there a few players that you enjoy casting more? I mean, they don't exactly have to bring the same level of play and win every time, but that you just enjoy watching them play and calling their games.
Yes. I mean, certain players just have stylistic facets of the gameplay that's really fun. Damaga is one that jumps out right away because he plays a very um, fun Zergling Baneling style of Zerg versus Protoss. Bishu is a player that I've enjoyed watching. I was kind of like when Bishu entered the Season 4 qualifier, I was like, oh, look at Bishu. And then he started getting far. I was like, wow, if this guy qualifies for the league FML, and then I actually watch his games and I see that he's doing some really unique, exciting stuff with like gateway expands and PVZ, and I've actually become a little bit of a Bishu fan, and I want to see more from him.
Awesome. All right, and we're gonna wrap up the NSL section, but the last question. This could be a moderately tough one to answer. Of what 4 players do you think have the best chance of like making it to, let's just say, well, let's say the quarterfinals, 'cause, I mean the semifinals, because that's 4 players, but like 4 players you think could really do well all the way through this league and into the playoffs and deep into the tournament at the end?
Well, if I had to only pick 4, it would be a really difficult question. The Koreans are easy picks. MC, Dong Regu, MMA, Violet. I mean, the guys that always perform at the highest level.
Mhm.
I would be surprised not to see them
Okay.
going very, very deep in the tournament. For the non-Koreans, again, we have easy picks in Stefano, in guys like Sin. Um, if I wanted to like kind of pick a sort of long shot, I would say that Niden's play has looked really, really good, and I would
Mhm.
love to see him continue to improve and progress, and maybe see him at the finals.
All right, that sounds good. All right, so now we're gonna move on to like just casting as a general thing. So ever since you started working with ESL, you've been co-casting with pretty much one guy almost all the time. There have been obviously occasional breaks, but with Rotterdam.
Right?
So what do you think are the pros and cons of having a dedicated co-caster all the time? I mean, obviously there's some really good things, developing chemistry and stuff like that, but surely there might be some. Are there any bad sides you can see to that? Having a guy as your main man on that for that long, really?
Oh man, there's very, very little downside to working with Rotterdam. He's a great caster, a great player, an awesome guy. I've been incredibly lucky to work with him. Like I owe a great deal of my success to Rotterdam, and I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity. Um, if you were going to ever make a case for there being a downside to working with the same guy all the time, it would be that you limit yourself. But at the same, like in that same vein, Kevin and me both have worked enough tournaments without the other person being there that I don't really think that that's a big deal. Are we better when we're together? I would say yes, but I mean, we've done a lot of work, sort of, individually, and I think we're both still very capable of, you know, doing well for ourselves in that regard.
Awesome. And kind of in a similar thing, but are there any casters you wish you had more opportunities to work with? So obviously Rotterdam is awesome. I obviously I agree. I think you two are some of the best commentators we have right now. But are there any like a couple of commentators that you kind of wish you had a chance to work with some more?
Um, there are a few guys in the scene that are just amazing. For me, I think the guys that I most would like to work more with are the guys that are kind of legends in the scene. Guys like Artosis, guys like DJ Wheat, um, guys that have just been around since since the beginning of StarCraft, since the beginning of esports. In the case of DJ Wheat, those are the guys that I would like to work more with.
Okay. Um, Kind of speaking about one of the old guys actually who I had a chance to interview recently, Red Eye, pointed out that you were a prime example of someone who kind of like worked his way to the top, both as a player and as a commentator. Obviously, your 12 weeks with the Pro Series, and so on and such forth. And Red Eye said that was like a brilliant job of someone really coming up from kind of out of nowhere to become a big name in the scene and to get the point you are today. What advice could you give to kind of people in a similar place who are not really known that well, but really want to make a name for themselves in the scene and try to make an impact?
Um, the hmm, that's a little bit. It's hard for
Mm-hmm.
starters.
Yes.
There's no easy road. I've certainly been very lucky to have enjoyed the success that I've managed to find. Um, but there are certainly, like there's like a formula you can follow. Obviously, yes, you've got to put in the work. You've got to be willing to roll up your sleeves and just do stuff, right? You can't really expect things to be handed for you. Everybody that is anybody in esports has worked very hard for that. But there's another facet of it that a lot of people overlook, and that's kind of networking yourself, going
Mm-hmm.
to events, meeting people, meeting the guys that run the leagues. Um, if you want to get a job in esports, you have to know the people that would employ you. Um, the first event I ever went to was MLG Dallas, and I went out of my way to meet everybody that I could while I was there. I met the president of the North American Star League. I met Sundance. I met a lot of players and coaches and people like that, and that was a big step for me. That was how I got. That's how I made the next step, which was being invited out to NASL, where I casted for a week, and then being invited to work in Germany. Beyond that, I would say don't forget where you come from, don't forget what you're doing, and don't forget who you owe it all to. It's really important that we continue to respect and appreciate all the players in the scene. There's It's really cool to be a caster. I love it. It's really fun to pretend like I'm famous and all of that. But but none of that would be possible without the guys that are playing these great games. And I don't know. I sometimes I feel a little bit offended that more people in the scene, more personalities, don't give more love to the players.
Mm-hmm. Actually, kind of. I also it's kind of following up on that, but did you happen to catch any of the Valencia Esports Congress stuff over the weekend?
Um, I didn't go out of my way to watch. I talked to people that were there. I talked to people that did watch it and asked them what they thought. Um,
But like, yeah,
but
okay, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, there's a lot of very um, conflicting interests there. It's really cool to get a bunch of personalities together and to work on building esports. But for that to really happen, um, we all have to get together for the same reasons. And I'm not going to say, obviously, everybody wants to do good and grow this thing. But when you've got people that are literally competing against each other, sitting there trying to trade ideas, it's just not going to happen. Sundance isn't going to tell my boss what his next big plan is any more than my boss is going to tell Sundance.
Yeah. But a more specific topic of that, and you had mentioned recognition to players, and Red Eye also mentioned this very specifically. Do you think a players' union has a place like in the current state of StarCraft 2? Like, would that help with this sort of thing at all? Just recognizing players for what they do and giving them like fair respect and share of what's actually happening in the scene, I guess.
Is there a place for a players' union in esports? Maybe someday, but right now I'm really afraid that it's just not big enough.
Okay.
Yeah, players deserve more than they get, or some players deserve more than they get. Other players get
More
a
than they
great deal,
deserve. Yeah.
but the guys that really make a lot of money in esports are few and far between. So yes, I do think that someday there's a ton of merit and even necessity for that kind of a thing, but I don't know that we're there yet.
Okay. All right. We're gonna wind this down a little bit. About out of questions almost. Just a few more like random questions. But what is your favorite event that you have casted live so far? Would you say, if you can even choose
Um,
one?
my go-to answer for this was always the Blizzard European Championships in 2011 in Warsaw, Poland, because it was just one of the coolest live events I've ever worked. But I really had an amazing time at the last NASL final in Toronto. Those Canadian fans were amazing, and I just thought that that event was really special. Maybe it's a little bit unfair for me to pick, the league that I work for, um, but I thought it was a damn good final. Dream hacks are always really, really, really cool. I would love to one day go to DreamHack Valencia because casting StarCraft on the beach sounds great.
Yeah. I can
But
agree with that for sure. Yeah.
um, but I think Warsaw, NASL Toronto, those are probably my top two.
Okay. Do you have like this is kind of a some of these moments might obviously be a little too almost too candid for an interview that gets released to everybody, but do you have like a favorite Rotterdam moment that he's done? He's kind of a silly guy sometimes. Do you have something like a Rotterdam moment that maybe people haven't heard of that's just like kind of very symbolic of who he is and just kind of hilarious in that way, I guess.
My favorite Rotterdam moment, I definitely have one. Um, I'll have to ask you what are we going for here in this interview? Is it PG-13?
I say just let it go. I mean,
Let it go. All
yeah.
right. So I don't know if I've ever actually told this story like live on the air because Kevin's always threatened me with terrible things. But I know that I answered this question in an AMA that I did on Reddit one time. My favorite Rotterdam moment is definitely Intel Extreme Masters New York, where a really fun event. It was conflicting with an MLG, so it wasn't on the top of everybody's radar. Um, we were there. We were having a great time. New York's an awesome city. I have some friends that I went to high school with that live in New York. So at the end of the event, I went out and I partied some with them. Kevin had met up with a girl. He went out and he partied some with her, and we were just like, all right, well, I'll see you later tonight, buddy. So about 2 o'clock in the morning, I stumble home and I walk into the hotel room, and the girl is naked, sitting on top of Kevin. Right, they're having sex, and I just kind of look at him. I was like, oh, hey guys. And I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna go get something to eat. Y'all want anything? And Kevin's like, no, man, just go. And the girl's like, actually, I'll have a sweet tea. So she asked for a sweet tea, and of course I went and I got a hot dog and a sweet tea, and I brought one back for Kevin too. And that was kind of the story. So
That was very kind of you.
little bit silly story. Now the other part of the story that Kevin likes to tell is when I came back, they still weren't done. So he's like, can't you just like take a shower or something? So I went into the bathroom. I was gonna take a shower, but I turned on the water, and but I was like, I was tired, and I was just kind of sat on the toilet with the water running. I ended up passing out. So I was in there for like I don't know how long, probably an hour and a half. Kevin finally knocks on the door. He's like, "You okay, bro?" And I just like walk out immediately and turn off the water. And I don't know. It was kind of silly. He probably tells the story better than I do. But, one of my favorite experiences with Kevin. We also had a really fun time in IEM China, but there's a YouTube video about that, so you can check that one out too.
Yeah, New York will do that sometimes, I guess. All right, and I think that's actually all I've got. We'll just wrap up with obviously you'll be at the next NASL finals, but will you be at any other North American events or any events at all in the upcoming future, do you think, that you know of?
It's all gonna kind of come down to our schedule. Right now we're right in the middle of NASL season 4, and my first priority is making sure that goes over well, and that that the season runs smoothly and all the games get casted and that all the players are happy. So that's the first priority. I would love to make it out to the next IPL, but only if time permits. So I guess to answer your question directly, I don't have any immediate casting engagements outside of the North American Star League, but I'm always looking to do more events when I can and where I can.
Okay, cool. And last but not least, if you have any shout-outs or announcements you'd like to make or anything you'd like to say, go ahead. The floor is yours until you are done talking, so go for it.
Well, thank you. All I can really say is thanks for taking the time to talk to me. Please, everybody, continue to tune into the North American Star League. You can go to the website at www.nasl.tv. We broadcast every night at 6 p.m. Pacific. Thanks to you for doing the interview. I really think it's awesome when people in the community reach out to other people in the community and try to put things like this together. So keep it up, man, and be sure to plug your Twitter and stuff at the end of this.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. And I'll actually just do that right now. My Twitter is below my name right here on the video. Don Horatio. MrBitter is actually MrBitter TV. He did not manage to pimp his own right there, but there it is. My YouTube is Don Horatio TV as well. And I think that's about it. So thank you for taking the time, MrBitter. And well, yeah, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.